I don't have anything special for the mayor's report matter of the community interest, but I think Sandy wants to say something.
I do.
So I will give you the floor, Sandy.
Thank you. This is a timely discussion because we're coming up to a very, very important time in our city life, which is election time. And I need to say a few words because a couple of things have come up that I find a bit disturbing. I recently came upon an announcement on social media that there will be a candidates forum in our city council chambers on February 5th, sponsored by a lobbying group called the PVrrg. The announcement was also made by the same group. I strongly believe that these chambers were created for the work of the city of Palos Verdes Estates. We have council meetings here, planning commission meetings here, parkland committee meetings here, and financial advisory committee meetings here, to name a few of the city entities that use this very special chamber. These chambers are not a community room. I repeat that. These chambers are not a community room. Our city has a beautiful library, a beautiful golf course, and other venues that would be far more appropriate for a candidates forum. Our council needs to put on its agenda discussion of this issue, and I believe it warrants such a discussion as soon as possible, if not even before our next council meeting, perhaps on February 4th. At this time, the city of PVE has no structured policy as to who may use these chambers, except that someone must be a resident of PVE. As such, a lobbying group was allowed this opportunity, and they ran with it. Now, one may ask why this issue is being discussed tonight, and I'll tell you. This candidates forum is sponsored by a tiny lobbying group called PVrrg. It was formed not long ago to serve as a name, merely a name, for a lobbying group with its own agenda. It is registered nowhere in our city. It is registered nowhere in our state. It publishes no member list, but its bias is palpable. The organization was formed by the same wealthy, litigious lobbyist who suckered everyone in the PV Homes Association and our city council, except myself, to acquiesce to a settlement agreement that allows another wealthy, litigious citizen to now own 1.3 acres of previously protected parkland. To repeat, this organization has no license, has no structure, is registered nowhere, has meetings attended by approximately a total of 4, 5, or 6 people. One is the creator of the organization, as mentioned previously. A second is his wife. A third is the group's female spokesperson. A fourth is actually a very lovely lady whose motivation I don't really understand. The fifth is a well-known woman who is seen and speaks almost at every city council meeting multiple times, devaluing, demonizing, and denouncing city staff as well as council members with calculations and formulas last seen in the movie A Beautiful Mind, starring Russell Crowe. The last, of course, is our treasurer, well known from her last-minute denouncement of Measure E and the PV Police Department intended to sway the passage of Measure E. The City of PVE, as of now, allows any group consisting of at least one PVE resident, even if it is an ideologically distorted group, which is extraordinarily biased and one-sided, to make use of our hallowed chambers as a site for pseudo-official activities, as is this, in this case, so-called forum to be held just before mail-in ballots are sent out, actually 3 or 4 days for our next election. It is well known by anyone who follows elections, at least in PVE, that the majority of voters cast their votes for our wonderful city government early, actually a day or two after this pseudo-forum will take place. This accounts for the timing. This location and this timing is not by accident. It is well thought through and calculated to achieve maximum impact on the March 5th election, as was the meeting in the library prior to Measure E, and to radically change the composition of the City Council. By having the meeting in City Hall, the creators of this farce attempt to cloak a sense of pseudo-governmental status upon this contrived pseudo-forum. PVrrg was incidentally rejected by the League of Women's Voters just a week or two ago when they tried to take over their candidate forum, which has always been the gold standard of non-biased question and answer venues. Boring sometimes, but they don't take sides. They never have a stake in the game or a preferred candidate. This pseudo-forum will actually include a member of the PVrrg lobbying group, as I mentioned, our treasurer. Incidentally, she was provided a signature by the head of PVrrg as a supporter of her candidacy, and this is public record. It's public record, folks. Can you imagine one of the major networks holding a candidates forum where NBC or CBS openly supports certain candidates? This is what we're seeing here. It is a sham and a power play to steer chosen candidates towards election on March 5th. Simply look at the group's behavior during the recent Measure E controversy. This small cadre belonging to PVrrg met with like-minded citizens sharing their position as anti-Measure E and anti-PV Police Department at the Malaga Cove Library just days before the Measure E vote. They spent several hours denouncing the importance of our police and cheering each other on to prevent the PV Police Department from remaining in PV estates. Our treasurer was the keynote speaker. Our treasurer has done absolutely nothing in her 2-year tenure here with our financial situation. And luckily for our city, our council was wise enough to create a financial advisory committee to help here where help was clearly severely needed. Here's another interesting point. Imagine a biased group led by biased members of PVrrg choosing the questions asked to each candidate running the PV City Council. Sure, they've asked questions from the community, but they will choose the questions. They choose. It's something The person or persons choosing the questions has signed a public document needed to qualify as a candidate. This document, again, is available here at City Hall. By endorsing our treasurer, do you think her record will be discussed at this forum? I believe that in this time of political mayhem in our country, our number one city in all of California, which is and has been steered by legitimate, sworn individuals and protected the PV Police Department for decades, is now being manipulated by a single, litigious, wealthy lobbyist with his minuscule band of merry men marching in lockstep with his wish to control and distort our glorious city's character through social media and stunts such as this rigged debate. This debate is a wake-up call for everyone sitting out here and everyone watching who represent the silent majority of our city, not this small little group. These people are caring, they're honest, they're dedicated, and they will not follow this wealthy litigious man down into his individual image of what PVE should be in his mind. We are better than that. And shame on you, sir, for again trying to be the grand, unelected leader of our city. Finally, I just want to please ask everyone to vote on March 5th and look very, very carefully at what our city is and always has been, a delightful, friendly paradise governed by sworn elected officials and protected by a police department whose allegiance is immaculate and it only takes care of Palos Verdes estates. Don't be fooled. This election is a referendum on the Palos Verdes Police Department. If some candidates, including our treasurer, are elected, we will no longer have the PV Police Department, which allowed us to be the number one city in all of California. Thank you.
Okay. Okay.
Mayor Peterson, sorry. Are we going to have this every council meeting before the election? I think this is a bit inappropriate, and I feel like I've been kind of bearing the brunt of Councilmember Davidson's yellow pad rants for a year. So let me clarify a couple things, because it's really actually not, if you have an issue with a group using council chambers, that's one issue. But then to go off and try to dig just doesn't seem appropriate from where you sit. It seems like you should have more decorum. Couple things. One, everybody can go back and look at the video. The video where I want to clarify, because you're being really untruthful, and so and I think our residents know. If you go back and watch, at no point did I ever say I was against the police. I said I was for the police. I believe our residents, as I always say, I believe our residents want our own police department. I disagreed with the structure of the tax. I still disagree with the structure of the tax. The Finance Advisory Committee is coming to the conclusion that the structure of the tax isn't enough. So that's fine. But it's unfair to keep saying I was against the police, because at no point was I against the police. I never said that. You can go back and look at the video. The other thing is, I just have to say, it's interesting to me that you talk about a group that's biased, but I think biased in your dictionary means disagrees with me and my position, and that's not fair. I mean, if somebody has a different position, that's okay. Lastly, I think I will just point out that 2 years ago when you ran for city council, PVrrg supported you and also supported you financially, and you were happy to take their time, effort, and money. And now that they have a different position, now they're biased, and now you're trying to throw them off. No, actually, no. I think you've said enough,
Mayor
and
Peterson,
let's move on.
Hold on. Just take a deep breath right now.
It's,
Okay?
Well-
Hold on. Wait, no. I'm sorry. This is enough. We're gonna stop right here. We need to carry on with our business. And if we were going to talk about what we're going to allow the chambers to be used for, I don't actually think that, I think either way, it's not a good thing to do right now. And besides, we would have to agendize and all that stuff, right? So let's move on. We have a lot of business to carry through, and, we'll let the voters talk later on. And I really do. So we'll go through that later on at the council member report, because I think it'll take the majority of us to actually approve that.
We have no
I understand.
at all.
Yeah, I understand. I appreciate you bringing that up. Okay. Let's move on to the consent agenda, please.